Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video centers around the series Black Mirror, and an episode that is weirdly my least and most favourite episode at the same time, and I shall explain why throughout. I feel the need to warn everyone verbally right off the bat that this episode contains extremely disturbing subject matter. To be honest, the whole show is meant to be disturbing, but this one is particularly effective. Without further ado, on with the review. It all began one fateful Christmas. My family and I had decided to visit people we hadn't seen for a long time, and during the day, my brother and I would spend our time chatting casually, watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, and playing Ocarina of Time and The Wind Waker. However, when night fell and the adults went to sleep, we decided to watch this edgy show that was all the rage at the moment, the anthology series Black Mirror. We watched all of the show, at least all that had come out at that point, in a few nights, and I wanted to spread it to my friends in order to discuss it with them. Hey, have you seen Black Mirror? Oh my god, I couldn't go past the first episode! He f***ed a pig, Soapy! He f***ed a pig! Oh my god! I did find a few people who were either willing to watch the show, or had already seen most of it, and we all seemed to agree on what we thought the most disturbing episode was: Shut Up and Dance. The episode centers around Kenny, a young restaurant worker who discovers his sister Lindsay accidentally downloaded malware onto his laptop while trying to pirate films online. Kenny then downloads a Trojan in an attempt to remove the malware, which allows a hacker to gain access to his webcam. One evening, Kenny gets bored and, starts having a wank. Unfortunately, the hackers are still watching, and send him a threatening message afterwards, containing a video of him rustling his jimmies. The hackers tell him to give them his phone number, or else they'll send the video to everyone in his contacts, and he obliges out of fear. The hackers tell Kenny he must keep this a secret, and give him a list of instructions to follow. While he's at work, they tell him he must arrive at a given location, and fakes being sick to leave. He races to the location on his bike, where he is given a fragile delivery by a man who is also at the hacker's mercy. When asked to deliver the package, he meets a man called Hector, who is also being blackmailed. They're given the task to drop the cake off at a location, and Hector confesses that he was waiting for a woman of the night, and was going to commit adultery because he got bored, but fears losing custody of his children if his wife finds out. Kenny cries and tells Hector his story. Someone Hector knows, Karen, asks the guys for a lift, and Hector drives extremely recklessly to drop her off while avoiding the wrath of their blackmailers. Once they arrive, they receive a message telling them to rob a bank using a gun concealed in the cake. Hector insists he shall be the driver, so Kenny is forced to rob the bank because he can't drive. Before he goes inside, Hector gives this speech to intimidate Kenny into agreeing to it, and once you know the twist, it's so much worse.
That's what they got, yeah? Your hot little face, blurred fist, dick burping fucking spunk everywhere. Your mum's gonna love that on Facebook, Twitter, Insta fucking whatever. And her friends, all eyes on you, giving it that. Tossing the cunts at work, calling you Spurty Magoo, laughing at your cum face, making it their desktop wallpaper. It's not just weeks, we're talking years here. My pictures hang about on Google like a gypsy fucking curse. There's no cure for the internet, it would never go away. It would be glued to your name, a fucking stain on you. I'd hang myself if that was me. Crack my fucking neck at the first opportunity.
Kenny is successful, but he gets so scared that he soils his trousers, humiliating himself.
Give me money.
Hector is told to destroy the car, which he does, while Kenny delivers the money he stole to a given destination in the woods. There, he meets a man who has a drone with a recording camera attached to it, who explains that they are meant to fight to the death, the winner keeping the stolen money. Kenny is visibly terrified and insists he only looked at a few photographs, and the man asks how young the subjects were. Kenny attempts to shoot the man before turning the gun on himself, only to discover that it was empty anyway, and the pair begin their brawl. Now we get to the part that kind of ruined the atmosphere of the episode for me, and is its only glaring fault in my opinion. Hector returns home and gets sent a bloody troll face before his wife confronts him. Everyone who is found out by the hackers gets their information leaked, as a bloodied Kenny limps his way home. I don't think this blunder was quite enough to ruin the very end of the episode though. Kenny receives a call from his distraught mother, and the police close in as Radiohead plays in the background, a bewildered expression on his face as he tries to hobble away in vain. This episode is so unnerving for a multitude of reasons. First of all, the character of Kenny is unnerving by itself. While his age is left ambiguous, he looks and is implied to be quite young as he still lives with his family and doesn't seem to have a driver's license. He doesn't exactly look like Jimmy Savile now, does he? As a society, we expect these kind of criminals to look a certain way, but he looks like a pretty normal young guy. There is also no direct confirmation whatsoever that Kenny is a nonce until we get the big reveal at the end. The only implication is a scene from the beginning of the episode, where he interacts with a child, and without the added context, it seems pretty innocent. Because of this, it's easy to pity Kenny's character before the big reveal. Under the assumption that Kenny is a good person, it's difficult not to pity him when he's presented as such a jittery kind of character. He's not well liked by his co-workers as he seems like the boss's favourite, and he seems like kind of a loner. Everyone has something embarrassing that they don't want people to know, but Kenny doesn't even seem remorseful. He just doesn't want to get caught. All of this makes the realization at the end all the more hard-hitting. When this episode originally aired though, it was after the period when the trollface was originally a meme, but its revival hadn't arrived yet. So I remember my brother and I cringing when it appeared on screen, and even now that emotion hasn't really left despite the meme's revival period. Nevertheless, the episode uses the same kind of narrative tactics as A Clockwork Orange, except in reverse. It makes you pity someone who has actually done something horrible, yet it differs in that in Clockwork we know from the opening that Alex is a rotten scoundrel. The episode is also set in the modern day, whereas a lot of other Black Mirror episodes are set in the future, making the characters in this episode's universe feel more grounded in reality, and therefore more relatable to the audience. It is for all of these reasons that Shut Up and Dance is both my most and least favourite episode. It utilises the internet to elevate a disturbing story without going all technology bad on us. The character motivations are believable, the dialogue is written well, and the twist isn't contrived. It's just a small moment that holds it back for me, which makes me feel disappointed in its wasted potential. Look, I've consumed a lot of horror and thriller media, so not a lot shocks me anymore in terms of fiction. But this episode always makes my heart drop into my stomach. Well, that's all for this video. Which episode of Black Mirror is your favourite or least favourite? Did you agree or disagree with any of the points I made in this video? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.
Nothing like a polo to ease my mind. With polos by my side, I'll always shine. The blue and green ones are my favourite kind, but I'll eat the coloured ones from time to time. Cause polos is life, 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 polos is life. Sleep on